Hello everybody, welcome to my channel, Lisa's Story Take. This is my first video and I am a big fan of From, so let's get to it. Before the episode began, I thought the main focus of the episode would basically be Fatima's baby. And in a way it was, but it wasn't the only thing. It wasn't really the main thing at the end. And the episode really surprised me. It started off with Rosemary's baby. We got a reincarnation, time travel, the introduction of a new baddie, a new villain, and then a major death. I did not see this coming. This was a real shock. I'm going to start with one of the quieter moments, though. Victor and his father, Henry. Victor takes his father to the burial site where he buried his mother. And it's really sad. I mean, he was a kid, grew up there alone, and when he was able to, he buried the bones of his mother and the bones of his sister. And he painted a rock and, making it look as pretty and for his mother. And it's really a touching moment because this is a man who spent decades not knowing what happened to his family. Can you imagine what that's like? Finally, he finds his son and there's a disconnect, but they're trying to get to know each other. And it really is moving and it really is sad at the same time. But though it offers closure, it's not quite complete closure because we learned something. Victor buried his sister, but is that really his sister? He says he buried the bones of a small child. He assumed it was a sister, but he doesn't even know. So the question is Eloise alive? Are those her bones buried in there or not? Now back to the Fatima story. She's kidnapped and the entire town is looking for her. They don't know where she is and they're paired off. Ellis and Elgin, they're teamed up together. And Ellis, after speaking with Elgin, he believes Elgin knows where his wife is. So he goes to his father for guidance and lets him know, I think he knows where she is. Now, I didn't think Ellis would figure it out, which happens in many a story, right? Where a character is kind of slow on the take to keep everything going. But even Ellis couldn't miss these clues. I mean, they were right in your face. I mean, here we have a pregnant woman missing in a town where monsters rip people's flesh right off their bone, and Elgin is saying stuff like,
"You're not going to lose Fatima. It's not going to come to that. She's going to be okay." What if all this is happening for a reason? What if Fatima is out there right now doing something to help us? This might be a good thing.
Elgin has guilt written all over him, which eventually leads to Boyd and his crew confronting Elgin, who is so far gone at this point. I mean, he thinks the Kimono woman is like an angel, but not of the fallen variety kind. And as a result, Elgin is determined to keep Fatima's location to himself because he thinks it will save everyone, and then they can finally go home. He's in that same kind of deluded state that Sarah was in. But Boyd is not interested in any of that. He just wants to know where his daughter-in-law is, and he is desperate.
Where do you keep your tools?
Boyd?
Where?
The shed. They're in the shed.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
And then we move on to the torture part of the interrogation. So he really doesn't want to hurt anyone. He just wants to save his daughter-in-law. And in the middle of this, a Polaroid camera, it goes off and a picture comes out and Boyd looks at it and he wants to know what it is. And I actually thought for a minute there that Boyd was not going to tell him. But in the end, Boyd goes ahead and tells Elgin what's in the picture. So the house is there, the one that he was going to move in there with his wife and his kid, his family, but the boat is missing. Why is the boat missing? Why is there a picture of the house? Are they just messing with him? But they're always messing with him. He took out Smiley. They do not like Boyd. Okay. But even with this, Elgin, he's getting hammered in the hand. His hand is broken. He still won't talk until
Sarah.
we have Sarah, the mild-mannered farm girl.
Sarah.
She's in the root cellar.
And that's how you get it done. Now I was thinking back, remember when that bus first rolls up and we see Elgin, who had sweet innocent face Elgin being tortured by Boyd and Sarah with Donna, Kenny, and Ellis on lookout duty on your bingo card? I certainly didn't. Now, while all this is going on, Randall is in his own state. He is hearing these cicadas. It's driving him mad. And he tries to give himself a lobotomy with a defibrillator. I think he has it the worst of anyone. Face is all scarred up and he's being driven mad by imaginary cicadas. And back in the diner, you have Julie and Ethan are talking. One of the things that I think for Julie is that she really needs someone to talk to. And I think with Randall going through his mental cicada thing, and he's just trying to, right now, he's trying to lobotomize himself. He's trying to take himself off the board. And Julie really doesn't have anyone to really confide in. And so she confides in her little brother, and she tells him about her time travel experience. And he called her a story walker. And he's very learned for a 10-year-old. At least he knows about these games, but he reads a lot of books and plays a lot of games. He has his own ideas about what is going on. And sometimes when I listen to him, I wonder, at least at some point, I wondered if this whole Fromville wasn't some part of his imagination. But I don't know. I just don't think that a kid's imagination would give you this. I mean, unless we're talking about the Twilight Zone. No, it was something I had thought, but I don't think so. I think it's something else. And after watching this episode, yeah, I can see that it's going in a different direction. So as they're sitting there talking, it moves to the natural progression where Julie starts to wonder if she can somehow harness the time travel ability and maybe go back in time to save people, like Kenny's mother, for instance, whom her brother Ethan, he became so attached to her. He took it very, very hard. Now she's thinking about it. If she can go time travel, maybe she can change all that. But Ethan, he says, no, you can't.
It doesn't work like that.
But you
can visit the chapters, but you can't change them.
Why?
No one can change a story once it's been told.
But when watching the scene, I can't help but have a feeling that it's going to be an important setup for next season. But I had no idea that we would actually see any of that play out in this episode the way we did in the end. That was pretty shocking. Now, going back to Boyd and Ellis and Kenny, they know where she is now. Sarah got the goods. She got the information, and they're running through the woods. They're running to her as fast as they can, and they find the cabin that Elgin had her hostage in. But by the time they get there, it's too late. She's already given birth, and the kimono woman, aka Elgin's angel, she takes off with the bundle of joy? Nah, maybe not so much. But the floor door opens up. She goes down there with the baby. And when they get, the boy decides he's going to follow. He tells Ellis and Kenny to take Fatima back to town. They don't want him to go, but he's the hero of the story. He's going to do what he has to do. So he goes down the floorboard that was left open conveniently or maybe on purpose, right? Because these monsters like to mess with Boyd, and I don't think for 1 minute they're not suspecting that Boyd might just go down there and follow them, right? So our hero does that. He goes down the creepy stairs and through the tunnel, and it's a good thing he has a lantern too, because those things just happen to be in abundance down here. It's a good thing. And as Boyd makes his trek, Fatima relays important information to Ellis and Kenny.
Those things that come out at night, I saw what they are. They sacrificed their children because it promised them that they would live forever.
Well, this was massive. And as the scene progresses, it reaches a pinnacle. And that's when Boyd locates the spot where the monsters are watching as the small bundle grows and expands into a full-size man. He's back. And as a Smiley fan, I was smiling too. He's my favorite monster. I know a lot of people like him. He's so cool. Boyd, on the other hand, was not smiling. I guess he's not much of a fan. And I can't wait to see how this rivalry plays out next season. Boyd was the one who killed Smiley, and now he gets to watch Smiley's rebirth. Wait a minute. Does this make Smiley his grandson? I think I hear something. It's the sound of a Polaroid going off. And here comes a new picture. Looky here, the Stevens family photo with the four of them. And Smiley is having his little cheese smile going on. Oh boy, I'm thinking, when Elgin finds out that Fatima gave birth to a monster, he's probably gonna wish he had given up the information without getting his hand broken and his eye. Well, I don't know what happened to his eye. Either he has no eye or it's severely injured. I don't know, but it's not looking so good for him. This entire sequence of the whole birth was very well done. It was accompanied by Jade playing the violin in the background. Prior to the whole scene with the birth of Smiley and all that, Jade, Jim, and Tabitha, this trio, they were working on how to solve the mystery of the bottles. Jade had tried everything he could think of to figure out how, why, what's the significance of the 12 notes in the 12 bottles. And then Jim comes up with the theory.
Aren't there 12 notes in a scale?
What'd you say?
Music. My mom was a piano teacher. She used to say that music is the universal language. I mean, there are 12 notes in a scale, right? A through G with the flats and the sharp.
Teacup, you are a fucking genius. I love you.
At this point, I'm going to tell you, I actually felt really good for Jim because he used to be inquisitive, but since the whole plot with the building the tower and then when the house fell on top of him, he has mostly lost the desire to solve the mystery of Fromville. That curiosity that he had was replaced with mistrust and anger, and I think even some jealousy toward Jay. He seems to be yelling at his wife or dusting off her concerns, like very condescending or something. Ultimately, what he was doing was he was pushing his wife toward Jade, and it was just recently that he decided to change his behavior. And maybe after talking with Henry and what Henry told him about the way he was talking to his wife, and it's just all of it. It just all came together for him. And he finally started to understand that he can't be this way anymore. So he wanted to work with them. He was apologizing. And at the time that he was apologizing, and he seemed to be shifting and helping out, what I didn't realize was that he was going through probably a thematic redemption, right? It's like when a character is about to die, they usually get like this kind of redemption arc if they need it, and Jim really needed it. No, he helps Jade solve the mystery, and then this ends up being notes to a song. And now we're at a moment where the trio has to decide what to do. They want to play the song, but they're worried because what if this song does something really bad? So what do? They go to the bottle tree and they play it there away from the center of town. That way, whatever happens will happen at the bottle tree. Jade plays the violin, and it happens when everything is culminating. Everything is happening at once. They're there. They have the birth scene, the music in the background. It's all so lovely. And as he's playing the music, the children approach. And then we see them. And then we learn what Nkui means. The little girl comes up to Tabitha, and then we learn that Nkui means remember, and Jade and Tabitha start to remember, and that leads to another big mystery solved. Wow. The remembering, it comes with like an emotional cost. Tabitha runs off and Jim follows her. He wants to know what's going on. He needs to know. And of course we, more importantly than us, the audience, we need to know. And then we do.
Jade and I were here at the beginning. We tried to save those children, set them free. Because one of them was ours. She was our daughter.
And now I really feel bad for Jim. Jade and his wife were married and had a child in a past life. Even though I don't really like love triangles all that much, I was really curious how this is going to play out next season. But I guess I won't have to deal with that because Jim's fate is about to be sealed when his daughter runs toward him. I did not expect to see her. I thought her story was over for the episode, but she shows up with her hair. It's like black hair, and it's like short, and she has scratches on her face, and like a different Julie because it's not our Julie, or it's a future Julie, right? It's time travel Julie.
Please, you need to listen to me. It's not safe. I think this is when it happened.
Okay.
Just when I thought this episode couldn't get any crazier now, because we got reincarnation, we got time travel, and then suddenly this man in yellow appears. Jim tells his daughter to run.
Your wife shouldn't have dug that hole, Jim.
Your wife shouldn't be digging that hole, Jim.
So there's another question answered. He was the guy on the radio. But who is he? Okay, so that adds another question. Is he the entity that's granting these immortality wishes? You know, like, is he like the proverbial genie in the bottle to the monsters? Is he the one who turned them into what they are? Jim decides he's going to fight this guy, and if it was me, I think he should run at this point. I wouldn't have stayed. Maybe you can outrun this guy, but no, he gets into a fight, and then the guy ends up killing him, and that was a stunner. And so it looks like Julie could not stop her father's death. But I'm going to make a prediction, and I think it's probably a prediction that everyone else has, and that she's probably going to try again to save her father. There's so many possibilities, and now we have this new bad guy. And here's the question. He can walk during the day now. I mean, we see him. He's walking during the day. So does the talisman work on him? Because I don't want that guy walking into my house in the middle of the day. That adds another dimension of fear for the town. This was a great episode. I mean, the season was great. The series was great. I'm glad we're getting another season. We got some big answers. We got new stuff to think about. The show is heading in a different direction with the time travel or the story walking. So how did all of you feel about the episode? Did you think that we were going to see time travel in this episode? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments section below. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video, and please like and subscribe.